Hi, I'm Herne, and this is Daily Writing Advice. One of the biggest errors that I find myself making in my own stories as I go back and reread and edit them is a lack of anatomical accuracy in my descriptions. So what do I mean by that weird alliteration? Well, a classic example is the phrase, her jaw dropped to the floor. If you think about that actually from a physical perspective, if you physically think about what that is ostensibly describing, it doesn't work because unless your character's jaw physically unhinges from their mouth, somehow worms its way out of its mouth hole and then drops onto the floor with a clunk, that description is not actually accurate. What you mean to say is the character gaped, or the character's jaw, descended a little bit, but it's not dropping to the floor. It's not disconnecting from the rest of their skull. And this isn't just a one-off issue either. This happens with a ton of descriptions. Things like, his eyes followed her around the room. Well, do you mean that his eyes are actually leaving his brain again and just floating around behind this person? Probably not. What you probably meant to say, what you should change it to say, is he watched her. Or just, his eyes just stayed focused on her the whole time. Not his eyes followed her around the room, because that doesn't make any sense. And there are a ton of other descriptions like this where if you stop and think about what it's actually saying for a second, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So why do we put these descriptions in our writing in the first place? Because like I said, I'm not saying I'm above this, because as I'm going back through edits for Masks of Steel at the moment, I'm seeing a ton of these errors, and I'm just constantly writing down in my notes, Jed, what are you doing? Fix this. This doesn't make any sense. Have a think about how this would actually work. Well, I think the issue is that they're cliches. And like all cliches, you don't really notice them creeping into your own writing until someone else points it out for you, or you have the self-awareness to scour through with an objective lens and figure out the things that are in there only because other people have used them and not because they make a lot of sense for your story. So just because you've seen other writers use weird descriptions that don't actually make anatomical sense doesn't mean that you have to make the same mistake.